maximum security in downtown Kabul. But this isn't an army base or foreign embassy. I've come to the headquarters of Tolo TV, Afghanistan's most popular broadcaster. These defensive measures might seem extreme, but they're necessary. Tolo TV has been and remains a target of terrorist violence. How can an independent TV station function amidst death threats and bombs? This is the Tolo News morning meeting. In the hot seat of one of the most dangerous journalistic beats in the world is TV newsroom boss Lutfollah Najafizadeh. He's only 29 years old, and there's a lot of responsibility on these shoulders. And this is Shakila Ibrahim Khil, one of his most experienced correspondents. Shakila's a widow. Her husband was killed by the Taliban, and she's raising their 3 kids alone.
تازه کار شروع کرده بودم بسیار سخت بود مردم برخوردشان درست نبود اما حال رفته خیلی خوب شده.
Shakila made a name for herself for covering dozens of suicide bombings over the years. Speaking to families of the dead and interviewing wounded survivors is harrowing. But she's received death threats from Islamist militants for her work.
سرک پلچرخی است و زیادتر رویدادهای انتحاری در این سال گذشته در سال 2015 در این سرک اتفاق افتاد.
شما گزارش‌هایتان زیاد هم سر همین انتحاری هست؟
گزارش داریم بله عملات که رخ میده گزارش میگیریم باز بعد از اون از خانواده‌ای که در این حادثه کشته میشه پروفایل میکنیم که چی کسایی بوده و زیاد وقتایی که عملات شوه گزارش می‌داشته باشیم بدبختانه البته.
Shakila's off on another assignment. The Independent Afghan Women's Association are funding schools in poor neighborhoods.
روزایی که زیاد اعصابم نارام باشه کوشش میکنم گزارش فرهنگی بسازم که امیر سر رویم تاثیر بگذاره یک کمی عوایم دیگه شه. روزایی که گزارش‌های هیومن رایت و حقوق بشر کار میکنم یا از یک خانواده قربانی را کار میکنم خیلی اعصابم نارام میباشه سر اعصابم تاثیر میکنه اما نمیتونیم که نکنیم به خاطر که واقعیت و حقیقت جامعه ما اینمی است.
We're not yet back in Kabul, and she's already trying to set up another story about political violence and corruption. In the foothills above Kabul stands the Intercontinental Hotel. Today it's being guarded by a squad of commandos because inside something very special is taking place. Tolo TV don't just do news, they also run the country's most popular entertainment programs. Their top rating show is Afghan Star. It's been condemned by the Taliban for lewdness and immorality. The militants might well have been thinking about this woman. Ariana Saeed, one of the judges on Afghan Star and a celebrity in her own right. She lives in London, but moved to Kabul for 6 months to record the show.
I have a lot of fans in Afghanistan, and they like to see me, on their TV screens on regular basis. And since I cannot have a concert here for them because of the security reasons, I thought it's a, good opportunity to do something for them, through this show and try to bring a smile on their faces.
But on January 20th this year, halfway through filming Afghan Star, Tolo TV became the story. Early that evening, a minibus left the main Tolo compound to drive staff home to the distant Kabul suburbs. On board was news cameraman Hasib Sadat.
من شاید بگم از اولین کسایی بودم که در بس بالا شدم. من همیشه در سیت‌های پیشری میشدم یا وسط نزدیک دروازه. اما روز تصادفاً من رفتم پسر. گفتم من امروز پسر میشینیم و دوستا آمدن همگی ششتن در جای خود. کسایی که در جای من اما هر روز جای من مشخص بود کجا میشنم. دوست دیگه ما آمدن اونجا نشستن که خدا هم رحمتشون کنه و همگی آمدن قسم میکردن با هم. بعضیا موبایل همراهشون بود، فیسبوک چک میکردن یا امور یک کار مصروف بودن یا گیم یا هرچی بود.
The minibus, which had made a detour to pick up even more staff from the Afghan Star set, was being trailed by a Taliban death squad.
من یک حالت را گرفتم در چوکی، خدا یک ذره داخل‌تر بردم و سرم ماندم گفتم باید یک ذره استراحت کنیم.
Suddenly, a suicide bomber rammed the minibus, detonating a carload of explosives.
وقتی من به هوش آمدم که همین ضربه انتحاری مرا از موتر بیرون انداخته بود، من به هوش آمدم. هنوز توتای همین چراها به حساب بگم از آسمان پایین می‌افتادن و هر کس هر طرف افتاده بود. هنوز دود بود، دود بوی همین انتحاری مواد منفجره بود.
We were actually on the set of Afghan Star. We had just finished the show and we heard the blast. And it was so loud and so scary that we actually thought that it's happening right outside our gate probably. We thought, what, Taliban are here and any minute they're going to just come in and attack us.
News of a bombing reached the Tolo TV headquarters, and they dutifully reported it.
سلام به خبر 6 خوش آمدید. وقوع یک حمله انتحاری در شهر کابل.
At the time, no one in Tolo realized that it was their own friends and colleagues who had been attacked. Then the awful truth started to emerge.
It was 5:15 in the afternoon. I was in my office upstairs in a meeting when our head of news walked in. And he said that there was a car bomb in the western part of the city, and he said that it was us.
They took us out from the emergency door, and once we were inside the vehicle and everything, going back to the hotel, then on the way they told us that the attack was on one of the Tolo cars, and that so many people have got hurt. And on the spot, I started crying. We didn't know who it was that was dead. We didn't know, who is injured.
Back at the bomb site, it was a chaotic scene.
همگی هر طرف افتاده بود چه قصد میکردن، فریاد میزدن. موتر دورتر از من بود، آتش گرفته بود. درای من گم کرده بودم که چی باید کنم، کجا برم. بالاخره یکی آمد و مرا بغل کرد، برد موتر رسان تا شفخانه. وقتی من در شفخانه رسیدم هنوزم دوستای مرا می آوردن به بسیار وضعیت خرابتر از من. که واقعا فکر میکنم تعدادشان هم شهید شدن کسایی که اونجا بعد از ما آوردن.
And then we went to the hospital nearby where our colleagues were taken. And that was the first time I could see something like that. Some of the bodies were unrecognizable, were beyond recognition. Some of our wounded colleagues were in very terrible situation. I saw a kid on one bed who was just a bypasser, who was wounded and was crying. And I couldn't hold myself, so I had to rush back outside.
7 Tolo staff were killed that night, and almost 20 more were seriously injured. Among the dead was 22-year-old graphic artist Mehri Azizi, a close friend and colleague of TV news boss Lutfullah.
That day I met with Mehri, the graphic artist, who is a very, very vibrant soul, and she was wearing black. And she passed, and she said hi to me, and I told her how beautiful she was that day. And she smiled, something which was part of her character. And a couple of hours later, we realized that she was no longer part of us. She was going to be promoted very soon as the head of the graphic department, probably one of the first female employees who was going to be promoted to a big level. So it's a loss for us, it's a loss for her family, and it's a loss for Afghanistan.
Shakila takes me to meet some of Mehri's colleagues. In the graphics department is a makeshift shrine.
مهربان نماز میخوان در وقت میدیدیم بسیار دختر با کرکتر بود دختر صمیمی ما در دیگر دیپارتمنت ها بودیم امرای همین صمیمی بود
اعضای یک خانواده با هم بودیم تا حالا آمد که میگن که نیست تو نمیشه باور ما که یعنی مهری نیست دفتر
تو فکر کردین که رقم حادثه سرطان میاد؟ بعد از این که طالبان اخطار دادن
ما خو اصلا باور نداریم وقتی ما بین خود بخاطر این اخطار یکا هم گپ میزدیم بود مهری میگفت که ما نمیخوایم جوان دوباره ما اخطار میکنیم
مذاق میکردیم که شما که اگر یه چیز شب باز شکلونش نگویم که ما نمیخوایم دوباره بیستیم خنده میکرد و مذاق یعنی همیشه ما میگفتیم اگر گملی شوه ما خود میریم اون طرف ها میشیم بالا میریم اون طرف باز تو چی میکنیم
تو فکر میکنین سر دفتر هم نمیشه؟
بله آمد یک فکر میکردیم که اگر شوام شاید این جمله شود در داخل امایی که در راه یک واقع میشه اما هیچ وقت انتظار شده نمیشه
نامزاد میشه بعد نامزاد هم شده فکر کنم راشینی خودش روزی که میمود یک روز پیش یک روز بعدش قرار بود نامزاد شد
But why did the Taliban attack Tolo TV? September last year, the insurgents overran the northern city of Kunduz. During the fighting, Tolo TV reported that Taliban fighters had raped women in hostels of the local university. But this story turned out to be wrong. Amnesty International documented allegations that Taliban fighters had raped women in Kunduz, but not at the university because it was shut. The channel's bosses say they clarified this in a later report, but it didn't help. The Taliban issued a furious official threat describing Tolo as a satanic network that was now a legitimate military target. This was actually the fourth time that militants had threatened the network for its programming.
The Taliban targeting us was always going to be a question of time. We represent civil society, we represent women's rights. We represent a more moderate version of Islam. We're believers in democracy, freedom of expression, all the things the Taliban don't like. So I'm not sure for how long we could have kept them at bay, but it was always inevitable.
This Tolo TV footage shows Ariana singing in the National Football Stadium in Kabul last year. She received threats for this performance. And due to security concerns, such an event might never be sanctioned today. For Ariana, everything changed after the attack on her colleagues. In this footage, Ariana's manager filmed her in their hotel trying on a bulletproof vest.
They actually have given this to me to wear when I'm going around in Kabul or when I'm going to the set to record Afghan Star. How funny is this? Being a singer in Afghanistan, I feel like I'm going to a war actually. This is ridiculous. And it's kind of heavy as well. But yeah, what to do? How do I look, by the way? I was a target, like direct target. They would say, you know what, this week they're going to attack Ariana, they're going to kill her and stuff like that. I do get scared. But you know what, I feel like, you know, this is the path that I've chosen. I don't want to just leave it halfway. I have to finish it somehow.
The day after the finale of Afghan Star, Ariana's work here was over, and she flew out of Afghanistan. This is an option that's not available to most people here. But the news never stops. Back at the Tolo canteen, Shakila isn't eating. She's too busy setting up a story about the Afghan New Year.
سال نوتان مبارک دکتر سر امی در شفاخانه ایمرجنسی زخمیای حمله انتحاری هستند اگر کودک‌ها باشه یا زن‌ها یا
Shakila has got access to the Kabul Trauma Hospital. She's famous for covering the aftermath of terrorist attacks, and the medics here know her well.
We are the referral center for war victims. If there is a big blast in the city or casualties coming due to war in the provinces, they come here. She follows all the stories, and most of the time when there is a big blast, all the press is coming here. But she's the first one. Just in Kabul, 2015, we admitted 3,200 people injured.
Wow.
And it's the worst number we ever faced in the history of emergency in Afghanistan. And we are talking about 16 years after the international forces coming here. So when Afghanistan was supposed to be in peace, but the situation never been so bad.
Shakila's taken me to the ward where the most critically wounded bomb victims are treated. She's come here to record their New Year messages to the militants.
Awful. This little boy is in grade 4 and he's just had a major operation. It was a suicide bombing of some sort in the center of Kabul, and he's lost his leg. He's in utter pain. The grief in this room is unbelievable.
چی پیام دارین به کسایی که برمی میمانند بم میشنن در این سال نو؟ من نیستی پدر چی پیام دارین مثلا کسایی که جنگ میکنن سال نو شد
جنگ دست بکش مهدی وطن ما قرار شد امی جنگ و جنبات گم شد دیگه
خاطر که بسیار رنج بود شاید به خاطر که من یک مادر هستم زیاد کوشش میکنم احساسات ما کنترل کنم اما نمیشه به خاطر از که نگران آینده از این طفلا می باشم به خاطر که طفلا را میبینم اولادای خود زیر نظر میاد و میفهم که آیندهشان خوب نمی باشه داریوش
In mid-April, the Taliban detonated a huge bomb in central Kabul, killing more than 60 people and wounding hundreds. The next day, the Taliban renewed their threats against all media outlets in Afghanistan. It's a chilling reminder of the dangers journalists in this country face every single day.